Hello, everyone. It's your favorite host, Amber Viola, and welcome back to Politics But Make It Fashion. Come interview with me. Today's guest is a brand new author who I'm super excited to talk to Johnnie Occhipinti. So, welcome.
Hey, what's up?
He
Thanks for
is
the
the author of a new book, The Green Ridge Corners. Wait, what was it?
intro. That was close.
Well,
You got it, kinda. You kind of comboed them,
I
but it's
did. I did.
paint the corners, the Green Ridge
Green Ridge
Dream.
Dream. There we go.
There we go.
So before we get started, I wanted to let him know that I started reading the book on Amazon Kindle. It's out now. And I was reading the foreword of your book and I loved I guess it's not like a poem. What was it, a letter or just like a statement? But anyway, it talks
Oh, from my
about
coach.
from your old coach, and it talks about doing
Yeah.
everything like in a championship way, like going hard in everything you do. Okay, I'm gonna brush my teeth like a champ. I'm gonna like put
Hmm.
my clothes on like a champ. I'm gonna go get ready like a champ. I love that, especially as not a positive person ever. I have to constantly like tell myself positive things, but as an athlete, I 100% get that. And like as I was reading it, I was like, yeah, I definitely feel that. So that was your coach.
That was my coach, Ron Kriptovich. He's a Pepsi delivery driver. He always wore jean shorts. He
I
had
love
like
that.
the Flanders mustache. You know,
I
he
love
had the
that you
coolest.
added he was a Pepsi delivery driver in there.
He would come in. He would literally show up like from work in the Pepsi truck,
Yeah.
and he always had the coolest wild cherry Pepsi shirt. I always wanted it. It just was like dad fashion back then,
Yeah,
stuff.
100%
You
dad
know,
core. So your
and
book is about you and your baseball dream. So it says that you started playing baseball, like you hadn't played baseball for 15 years and then you went back into it and now you're playing in college. Okay, so your book is about your baseball career and how you took a break for about 15 years. So I want to hear about when you first started playing baseball when you were younger.
sure. So I started out in t-ball, and I originally didn't like baseball. I thought it was pretty boring. I don't know. I was lucky I had a pool growing up. I think I wanted to just be at the pool instead of
Yeah.
hitting the ball off a tee. So I quit then, and then I didn't come back until like Farm League, it's called, before Little League.
Mm-hmm.
And then Little League is where I'd like started to excel a little bit. I got called up from 8 and 9 to 11 and 12. Or no, it was 9 and 10 and then 11 and 12 for Little League. And for 4 years, I was lucky enough to be on a championship team every year. So
Wow.
I did have talent with baseball, and I became an all-star. And I did enjoy the game. It was until Teener League that I switched leagues. I went from Greeners Little League,
Mm-hmm.
all my friends, a lot of success, championships, all that. And then my dad had me go play for Shouts Teener League in Dunmore. And it was a good time for a little bit, but I was over it. And I was with none of my friends. My team sucked. It was no fun. And I
Yeah.
was just I liked playing at the time. I was playing basketball, so I was like, that's all I really cared about. So I quit and had no intentions of ever playing again. And then it came about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, the idea came during like the pandemic, kind of.
Yeah.
I wanted to learn how to pitch, and I was going to intertwine stories from my uncle's past, because he was supposed to teach me as a kid, but we never got around to it.
Yeah. Is
And
your uncle still alive?
he is, yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
He's got 2 knee
Oh, that's
surgeries.
cool. Well, now
He's
he gets to see
moving.
you.
Yeah, he came to. I actually ended up playing college baseball and basketball, and he came to one of my basketball games.
Yeah.
He
I followed your story from afar, because when I got out the Navy, I was going back to college, and I'm older than you, so like I totally understood going back and like trying to figure it out and everything. And I loved that you decided to play sports and go, and do that because I thought that was really cool. I played basketball in college myself, so
Oh,
that was
nice. Where?
it was neat to watch.
Where'd you play college ball?
Overseas at College of the North Atlantic.
Oh, wow.
I didn't play my senior year, and ended up going overseas and playing and picking it back up and playing in college, which was like
That's
crazy.
freaking sweet. I want to do that. That basketball is my favorite sport.
Mine
Baseball is
too.
number two. Baseball is probably two. Football, I have the three American classics:
Yeah,
basketball,
yeah.
baseball, football. Top
I
three.
actually really wanted to play baseball when I was younger, and I started off playing baseball first and softball, but then the leagues died out, especially I couldn't play baseball because it was boy leagues and they weren't
Right.
intertwined yet, and there was never enough girls for like full leagues and stuff, so I played basketball. I didn't really like basketball at first either, just because I wasn't confident enough for it. You got to like really like, go for it, and that
You
wasn't me
do.
until probably like my sophomore year is when I really got hit confidence level in playing sports and stuff, and it just took off like that. But yeah,
That's
baseball and swimming were probably my first two loves.
really
Yep.
okay. Swimming,
Go
I
Phils.
do enjoy. Go Phillies. I'm a Sox guy, but Phillies are my number two. I always root for the Phillies too. Yeah,
You have
but
to.
that's
So
awesome.
when you when you decided to go back to school, like tell me about kind of that process.
So it all started at my Uncle Ronnie's house. So we'd go to my Uncle Ronnie's and drink bourbon and watch games and stuff. And he would just tell me stories about playing even just like men's league and when he was older. And that was so fun. All the stories he talked about, like just, they would have a few beers and play, they would
Yeah.
go to scouts and play and all over. And I just was like, man, because I was getting bored of life. Like I was working, but I always stayed in shape. I played a little bit of semi-pro rugby. I always though like always try and stay in shape. You only got one body, right? So,
Right.
and I'm talking to him, and I'm like, oh man, I gotta find a league somewhere. He's like, he's like, Google it or something. I ended up Googling it, and I found a league called the Wyoming Valley Area Baseball Association. This is actually the hat right here.
Nice.
And I hit up the president, and he got me with this other guy, Dan Rice. That was Jim Lavelle. I was actually on his team, Jim Lavelle. But they got me in contact with a few people. They said, come out to a scrimmage, some practices, maybe you'll get picked up by a team. I started there, just went to a scrimmage, met some people, just started talking, played right field, whatever position they had available, and just started grinding away at, you know, potentially making a team. At first, I was just an alternate.
Yeah.
My best bud, Colin Dietz, started practicing with me. We became friends, and then one day they needed an alternate. A couple of their guys were missing, so they needed extra guys.
Yeah.
And I think the first at bat I struck out, but the second one I got a hit, and I think I went 2 for 4 on the day, and played some right field. Just had fun, and kept my phone in the car, just outside, in the
Yeah,
dirt.
yeah, that's really cool. I love that.
That's what I really want to do with the book, is to get kids to get outside and to get
Yeah,
people outside.
yeah,
Like that was my main intention. I ended up doing really well. I ended up playing half of the games, but I had the tied for extra base hits on my team.
oh,
So
nice.
in
Even
half the game,
starting out as an alternate, that's pretty cool.
hmm
Yeah.
I don't know where it came from. In the book, I talk about how I did the batting cages at Snow Cove, I used to work those when I was like 20, but that was still like 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And honestly, like baseball, people, I take it for granted, but like not many people I don't think can do that because it's a very tough sport to just
Yeah.
jump
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
Uh,
And I mean, muscle memory though. All right. So let me know how you got into college.
so so after the league, or well, actually during the league, I was contacted by Luzerne County Community College's head coach. He
Oh
just
wow.
started the team back up since COVID. Ross Turetsky, his name is actually. And this book actually came out. It was published April 17th, but released April 18th. And on that day, he got his first win as a coach. It was not on my team.
Yeah.
He ended up leaving Luzerne and going to Penn State Wilkes-Barre. But I thought that was pretty cool.
That's cool. Yeah, that's cool. So
Because
you pretty much got
you
scouted then.
yeah, I mean he was really looking for guys. Like it wasn't like he was definitely looking for a lot of people, but like I was just like, if it's an opportunity, I wasn't gonna do it at first because I always made fun of Luzerne as a kid. I'm not gonna lie to you, I did.
I made fun of
And
Lackawanna,
actually,
so
hey, at least Lackawanna's they're good. Lack of knowledge, that was one of them. Remember
yeah.
that one?
Because I went to the
Yeah,
U,
but
so of course I made fun of Lackawanna. You know.
I mean, I went to the U too. That was where I played rugby. So I think I went to every single college. I almost went to Penn State, Worthington. Like I probably almost went to every single college in this like
Yeah.
city.
I went
But
to a
so
bunch of colleges too before I finally finished at
I
Marywood
actually
after
went
I got
to
out the Navy.
so I went to Luzerne. I played baseball and basketball there. That was that was so much fun. John Fry made fun of me. You know John Fry.
Of course. Yep.
He was like, "You're not going back to play baseball. You're 30." I was like 20. I'm 29. So at the
Yeah.
time,
Right.
he's like, "You literally like it's not a real coach messaging you. It's probably for the esports team." I always want to say too that John Fry is my inspiration and muse. Just want to let that be known.
Fact.
But
Fact.
he's a man. But
No, I mean honestly, it was really cool to watch, and a lot of people will talk shit about when you're trying to go after your dream, which always ends up being some
always,
weird convoluted way. You know,
always,
you go about it in a roundabout way, and like I said, I watched you from online, and I was like, hey, this kid is kind of on the same weird roundabout journey that I did, and trying to go back to school and everything, and I was going in class, and people were like, "That's weird. You're old. Like, what do you?" And I was like, first of all, let me do this my
right.
way and let me
Well,
figure it
the
out.
thing is, like, we both look younger. Like, nobody was like,
Oh
I,
yeah,
I
nobody
asked my
knew that I was old as fuck.
the first day, I did the MRT program at Luzerne, Music Recording Technologies.
Yeah.
And I asked my classmate, I was like, "How old do you think I am?" He's like, "I don't know, like 19." I'm like, "Oh my god!" But like, I only did in person the first semester. I could because it was a 40-minute commute
Yeah,
to
yeah,
Luzerne,
yeah.
40 minutes back. So I was like dying. I won Student Athlete of the Year my first semester. Like,
That's awesome. Yeah.
but like, not to say I don't care about like academics, but like it's I went back for sports. Like it wasn't like
Right.
like
Yeah.
I already have established stuff before
Yeah.
going to college that I was willing to. I was gonna just do like artistic stuff. Like uh, I was gonna be in a band called Running in Flip Flops. I was gonna be their drummer, and I had to give that up because it just was like too much time.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. They still
just
play though. I saw them play not that
oh,
long
they're
ago. I think at
great.
like Waldo's. Yeah, they're really good. Yeah. They did
They're super
like
talented.
Kendrick Lamar or something, and I was like,
They're
I
so
am
creative. It's unbelievable. And then
Yeah.
uh, Dane's girlfriend Beck, she's super talented. She has her own uh, online store and stuff. They're super talented. They actually we might have played each other in Little League and not known it.
Oh
We're about the same
wow.
age. They
Yeah.
played on Elephant's Little League team, and I feel like it definitely, most likely, we played. We just didn't know it. But
Yeah.
yeah. So I was at Luzerne for like a year and a half. I did 1 year. I played baseball and basketball, and it was just so much fun. Neither of the teams were very good. I'll be a real, but it was
Yeah.
still, like it's just fun
It's just
going on
fun.
the
You
bus
feel good.
ride. You feel
Yeah.
good,
Yeah.
and I got addicted to it. And then my goal, though, I said this when I was at my uncle Ronnie's, like originally, before I even took the field, even took a practice swing. I said I want to go play for Lackawanna.
Mm-hmm.
That's in the book. Essentially called it like,
Right.
but I just knew like that's if I want to go somewhere, take this seriously and go somewhere. It's not going to be from Luzerne. It's just not.
Yeah.
Because they both started their programs back up first year since COVID. They were successful in a lot of ways before that, but it was a restart, and
Yeah.
because of the travel, like they don't have dorms or
Yeah.
anything, so I was dying just driving up there. But it the passion of just going there was always there. So it was like
Yeah.
if I could make something happen, and ended up talking to Lackawanna's coach. We're actually gonna make a documentary, me and the coach for Lackawanna.
Yeah.
We already started on it, and I'm going to be a player as well. So I'm like two different entities on the team. One,
Yeah.
I'm like a videographer, and then the second is like, can he use me on the field? He's going to be honest with me with that. So if I'm not up to snuff, he doesn't need me. I'm most likely just going to record. But
Right.
either way, I'm getting world-class training. I'm with all like D1 prospects, constantly
Yeah.
getting put, you know. So it's a really good environment to be in. And
Yeah.
crazy, you kind of manifest things if you really let it happen.
Yeah.
Doesn't you don't
Yeah.
call it. I got lucky perhaps in that maybe it was destiny that I said I want to go play Lackawanna. My dad's like, how about you go practice first? But I was like, that's what I want to do, and every day was meant to go towards that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you would know, like, you have to just be consistent.
Yeah.
You have to just do it. There's no other.
You just have to. That's what I whenever I sign my book, I write, just do it. You have to just, people, how did you do this, Amber? I literally probably
Nike
Googled it
did it.
first and did it. I always
That's what
looked it up and did it.
Nike nailed it on the head.
Yep.
They did. Just do it. Like there's no
Yeah.
other like. There's no like you could be
There's no
like
secret.
no, none. And that's what I realized after. I'm like, it's just like now I have opportunities even if I don't go anywhere to play. I have
Mm-hmm.
opportunities to coach, and that's a beautiful
Right.
thing. Like just
Yeah.
to be around it is a blessing. That's what I realized because I used to be so depressed because
Mm-hmm.
like even I was in a movie, a rugby movie, made the cover. It's on Amazon. I was still depressed. Like for somebody else, that might be like their crowning achievement, but for me, I was like I got to see what say like a professional athlete gets to do every day. I got to play
Yeah.
rugby every day and get paid, and I was like, I just was depressed because I wanted that so long. And in this area, probably the cronyism, the politics. I didn't really get a shot in high school. I didn't really give myself a shot. I gave up and started skiing. And it all works out because, now not only am I get to be a college athlete, if I get, there's possibility that I could make money from being a college athlete,
Right.
which if
Yeah.
all of this came together when I was 19, I would have played college for 4 years and then been done with it. Now
Yeah.
I could play 4 years and make potentially big bucks, like,
Right. Yeah.
and then it
Yeah.
becomes something profitable and fun, which
And it seems like you take advantage of every opportunity you have within the big opportunity. So you have one big opportunity and then there's all these other little opportunities in there. And you also seem to be making sure that you're grabbing at everything and taking every
100%.
opportunity.
I
Absolutely.
There's actually a mention in the book about something my friend said. Her name's Loretta Mary. She has this one company called Biotunes. She makes like music with like plants. It's cool.
Oh,
I
that's
met her in
cool.
Philly, and she has a very interesting life. And she was telling me about some story, and I was just like, "How did you get to do all these things?" And she said it's not the like macrocosm of events; it's the microcosm. It's like this
Mm,
little, you don't realize it, but one little conversation or one little thing can chain react 1,000. My
yeah.
uncle telling me to go find a league
Right.
to go
Right.
play in, ended up student athlete of the year. Now I'm on a team that just went to the College World Series. They just went to Oklahoma. Unfortunately, they lost 2 games and had to go home early. But just to make it to a JUCO World Series is no small feat. Because and that's
Right.
another thing I want to showcase is junior college is legit. Like
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
I didn't realize it. Like even Luzerne, we played in the top region in the country for
Wow. I
baseball
didn't
and
realize that
basketball.
either. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we played the two of the teams I got. Well, the first team I got my first basket, which is also a crazy story. My late friend Kelsey Hallinan, her birthday was the day I got my first college basket, and I thought it was a 3, but it was actually a 2. And I think her birthday is January 2nd, so I thought
Yeah.
that was cool.
That's
And
cool. Yeah.
uh, like it's a tough. The team I got my first basket on was Montgomery Community College. They think they beat Lackawanna. Their team is technically D3, but they ended up beating Lackawanna this year. They ended up coming in like top 5 in the country.
Yeah.
So like, and a lot of JUCO guys are D1 athletes that didn't have the grades or something happened
Oh
or
wow. Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Stuff. A lot.
So it's
Stuff could
like
be out of their control, and
right. So there's a
yeah.
lot of guys in JUCO uh, that you wouldn't know. Like I faced a guy who was going to Texas A&M. I didn't get a hit, but I uh, did make contact at least. That was like the first time I faced maybe 92 once, but that was like 90. I almost got my teeth broken. I went for a bunt. Oh my god.
Oh wow. Yeah. I think that's great, especially for around here. I hate the fact that the price of college is so high, especially in not like the junior colleges, like the major ones, and they cost more than than people's salary in Scranton and in this area. And there
Crazy.
are a lot of really great junior colleges and other colleges around here, and I
That's
think
another reason.
you could really help impact kids and stuff by showing them, hey, not only can you decide to go back to school, but you can use these schools that we have that are cheaper, easier probably to get into, easier for you to get good grades, bring your grades up, and do all those things. And that's such a great message for kids around here.
Totally. And that actually, I'm actually, after the book is fully released and I have the, like, um, one second. When the book's fully released and I'm done with it, which thankfully, like, should be soon, uh, I'm going to take on a nonprofit, uh, and like develop a nonprofit for junior college and non D1 athletes. Because like if you're NCAA D1, I think they have a program where you have like unlimited meals and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember Subaz Napier when he said he would go home like starving?
Yeah, yeah,
He was like
yeah,
he was almost the player of the year in at University of Connecticut. After that, they gave D1 athletes unlimited meal plans.
yeah,
But what about D2 NCAA, D3 NCAA, junior college, all their divisions, NIA, I think it is, or NAIA. I'm gonna develop a program or nonprofit that gives uh, those athletes a meal plan and potentially like Uber and Lyft because I have teammates that I was picking up. They were 19, 20. They didn't have a car.
mm-hmm.
Luzerne doesn't have dorms,
Yeah,
so they were
yeah,
driving. They didn't have a ride to practice. They didn't have all these things. Guys are a lot of guys were, food scarce. They're not, and you're playing a college sport and you're not, let
You
alone,
have to eat.
let alone just being food scarce and not playing a college sport. That
Yeah.
you're sprinting in basketball, you're depleted, and
Yeah.
so I'm gonna work on that. I don't have a name for it yet, but
Do
I'm
they
gonna be
have a food pantry? Because I know when I was at Marywood,
Luzerne
actually,
does. Luzerne does.
I talked to the old president, shout out to Sister Mary, who listened to me because I was also starving on campus as a
Right.
single mom and a vet. Like my school was getting paid for, but that does not include a meal plan. So
Right.
they ended up putting a food pantry on campus and stuff like that. But that's a
Donna!
huge, huge issue.
Donna!
Go ahead.
What were we talking about? The
Food scarcity on
food
campus.
scarcity
Yeah.
with athletes and stuff. So yeah, Luzerne had a food pantry. I think Lackawanna does. I'm not sure. But also like quality of food.
Mm-hmm.
You think like a food pantry doesn't always have.
You have to have good ones because ours had Marywood food, which was great. So we got like Starbucks and everything in there. Because you're right, because
Oh wow.
sadly they give food pantry food is shitty, and that's not
Hmm.
fair to anybody. But you need to be able to have, especially if it's going to be for athletes, you need fruit and vegetables, meat, milk, dairy, and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff. Any type
definitely.
of non-dairy food for people who are lactose and everything, like you need good stuff.
Yeah, you gotta, and that's a thing. Like, luckily, my family's all about. We're just constantly cooking, and and because like I didn't have a job basically. I I took loans out. Like, I
Yeah.
think it's an investment for me. Like, it's already technically I made money playing sports, but like very little. Like, you get like a food voucher,
Yeah.
but that was still worth it to me. Like to be able to get paid even 20-30 bucks
Yeah.
for a day of playing a sport. It's like perfect. But there's guys we would go down to Philly, play a game, we get 20 bucks. Guys like not they're holding on to it. They're
So
not.
hold on, you're right. Yeah.
We're going to McDonald's and they're not eating anything because they're like, need this for gas. I'm like,
Right.
that's
Yeah.
like, even though you'd be like, oh, McDonald's is not good for you. Like after a 2-hour game,
You need
you need
something.
anything. And then like,
Yeah.
I was just like, this. That's when I kind of thought like something needs to be done because you got guys now making millions of dollars,
Mm-hmm.
and then you got guys who can't afford to eat. Like
Yeah.
there needs to be something done, and I think one of the strategies would be, uh, say like a guy who's making like crazy NIL money, like maybe they donate a part of their
Yeah.
portion to, and have events and stuff centered like around sports and have people come. I
Right.
think that would be, and then the ride thing would be also be something I would, because you know if you
And
don't have
even if
public transit.
you could probably contact some of the ride shares. I know that I do rides to the polls, and this year we were able to do Uber
Oh,
rides
okay.
for people. So this year we got to, normally I rent a van, but this year we did Uber rides and we're able to get people like Uber codes and stuff. So I would definitely
Oh,
check that
cool.
out, and they always need good press, so get with them and see if they'll be willing to
Right.
donate those things. And their tax
Yeah.
write off, and I found, like you do, is I always look things up, and I found just asking will get you so far, with things, and just putting it out there and saying, hey, I got this idea. Could you guys help me? And 9 times out of 10, people really want to help, or they'll lead you in the right direction of somebody who can help you.
Exactly right. That's even with basketball. Since I was playing baseball, I just hit up the basketball coach. I figured they needed guys, and he was like, "Yeah, we'll take you,
Yeah.
whatever." Just you gotta ask. You gotta say why not me, not why not.
Right.
Like,
Right.
you can't if you have a doubt, that's what you're gonna get. But if you have like this might happen, it might not, but it might. So
It
it's like
might. What's the worst that's going to happen? They're going to say no, and you're going to be where you are right now. That's it.
exactly,
You know?
exactly.
Yeah.
Or you might you know have the time of your life.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's worth
So
it.
when did you decide that you wanted to start writing this all down?
what's it 2025 right now?
Mm-hmm.
It might have honestly been even longer. It might have been like 2020. I think it was like maybe it was like tail end of pandemic. And I had another guy I was gonna do like a 3-part story. My buddy Dominic Verastro, I think his name is. He played at Pittsburgh, University of Pittsburgh. I was gonna have him be like the modern day because he had an interesting story. He had like diabetes or something, and he didn't know it, and he like couldn't put on weight, and he was very like, and then he became a D1 pitcher after like they figured out his health complications.
Yeah, yeah.
But I ended up it was just too much like to intertwine it all, so I just did me and my uncle basically, like, and I did
Mm-hmm.
flashbacks of like, uh, so the real start of it was like the writing phase because I had the idea, but then until I got into the league and started like playing and
Mm-hmm.
like practicing originally, uh, then I went down to North Carolina and I'm a big Tar Heels fan, and we went and stopped at University of North Carolina. We saw the baseball field and stuff. And then I started writing. I got inspired there. I started writing on my phone.
That's how I
Just like
started. I wrote my book mostly on my phone.
until it got too much, right? Until like you literally I couldn't even like then I
You're like
couldn't even write
scrolling.
on it. It wouldn't even load at one point. I was like, I'm just gonna finish it off on my computer. But yeah, that's how if I told anybody just like because make your phone productive. If you can make your phone productive, then you're set because you don't feel bad about being on your phone.
Yeah, dude. I love
Like if
that.
yeah, because I was doing it. I actually wrote like a decent amount of my book while
Yeah.
in class.
Yeah.
I that my teacher thought I was like the best note taker ever, and I was just like,
When I was in the Navy, I found out that you could download naval instructions. Nothing that was like top secret or you needed clearance for or whatever, but you were able to download it. So since I had my phone already, I would study from my phone and I would study all the manuals and different stuff. And I realized like, oh, I pay more attention when I'm doing it this way and it's in my hands. And then, and so then I took that as far as when I was writing. I just would start writing on my phone and then my Google Drive is connected, so then you just pick up where you left off, on your
right, and
laptop and stuff, and
you
yeah,
gotta do Google Drive, like do not
yeah,
do Google Docs, do not. I don't trust iPhone with my stuff. Like I've lost too much stuff from iPhone because
yeah.
it won't let you know that it's not like
Still
holding
uploading because
something.
it's full or
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah,
right.
yep,
I just trust Google with that. Like I almost lost my entire book last night. I have backups and stuff, but I
yeah,
thought like my
yeah.
whole word. The thing is, with Amazon, did you use Amazon?
I used Amazon.
So like the formatting is so hard to like
Yeah,
once you
yeah,
realize like oh my god, it took me because I had pictures in the beginning
you're right.
and
Yeah,
it just looked
I had
terrible
an
and it
original
took forever.
cover that I did that I could not get to format on Amazon, so my actual cover's
I
the
might
different
need you
one.
to help me with that. That's perfect that you
Yeah,
actually wrote a book because I did it like perfect. I thought I made the cover and then I just ordered my proof and I don't think it's gonna come out right.
yeah. And
Something
make sure
happened.
your writing is big enough too, because I'm gonna actually be probably redoing my book over again, and I'm gonna make it bigger. That's the biggest complaint people had is the writing was too small. So, but with the
Really, what do
format, it
you
was
use?
hard,
12
huh?
times you use Times New Roman
I
12?
did, yeah, or even 14. I think I might have used 14, and it still comes out small, like when you're on a thing. So,
I'll see how it comes out. I think
yeah,
it'll be here on Thursday. I just was
yeah.
like, screw it, just order it, see how it comes out because it looked totally different from what I made. I was like, what the hell? The whole thing was
The whole,
sideways. I'm
yeah.
like, what the? And I'm not like gonna pay somebody $500 to do that. Like, I'd rather learn how to do it.
No, please don't. Anybody who's listening to this, you have two authors on this podcast who
That's
basically
right,
did it for free.
hundred
And that
percent.
was the biggest thing. Yeah, I looked it up and I saw, and I think you had asked me what I used for my book a while back, and I used
I think
Amazon
so.
and went through it and everything. Yeah, get an
Amazon's
editor if you can.
doing it great. I
It
did the whole
is.
editing. I probably messed up, but I also didn't want to pay anyone $500 to do that.
I used somebody I
And
was in class with.
oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to. Everyone told me I couldn't be my own editor, so I was like, "Well, I'm gonna do it, and if I fail, I fail. But if not, at least because it tells you like if you mess up. I don't really care
Yeah.
that much
Yeah.
about like, oh, is this
You're
grammatically
gonna publish a book, and how many people can even say that? You know what I
right?
mean?
Who gets it? I'd rather take the full, at least for this one.
Right.
Next time, no way. That was too much.
Yeah.
It's such a, it's such a tedious process.
It is. And I think just doing it on your own at first and going through the whole process. And a lot of people, it's not that I don't think you should have big goals, but sometimes it's like more realistic. If you already don't really have the money, you're not in a position, but you really want to write your book, there are ways that you can go about doing it in a way where you can get it done without having to spend money you don't have. There's ways for you to go about and do that. And sometimes people think everything is really expensive, or you have to like spend a lot of money to be able to go do stuff. And it's like, no, you're able to kind of start doing it at a basic level. You just got to figure it out and push through.
100%. That's with everything. Like people don't realize like movies, sports, everything is the same but is different. Like it's just different things with the same process. Like you need a collection of people wanting to do the same thing. Like half of the stuff isn't essential as they were deemed in like COVID. Like everything was non-essential except for like healthcare workers, I
Right.
guess. But like that's why it's so beautiful though, is like people care even though it's non-essential. It's just creation of either sports or in entertainment. Like it's just so many people are passionate about it, and if you're
Mm-hmm.
passionate and you're a good person and you do the extra work, you're gonna find a way.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily you're gonna become the most successful. That's up to you to decide how much effort you're gonna put, and luck, a little luck and all
Right.
that.
And what
But
is successful for you? Like you believe you're successful. I think you're very successful. And what is you have to measure what your own success is. For me, is I even just writing a book and not knowing how to spell anything, that was
right,
successful for me.
right.
For me
You,
from the beginning. So going back to school for you was successful, and even just finding a league to play in.
I was depressed, to be honest with you. Like I mentioned in the book, I was like about to work for this solar company that it was like a regime. I didn't know what I was getting into. I thought I was going to be like able to do sales, and make a few sales
Yeah.
occasionally, and like it'd be chill and passive income. Meanwhile, they're like 8 a.m. meeting, not getting paid. 4 p.m. meeting, not getting paid. All commission. And I'm like, oh my God. I actually skipped. I actually quit the job, not getting paid. Uh, and the guy said, I think you're making a mistake.
You
And
said it was a regime.
I got my first hit. It was a scrimmage. It was my third at bat after in the third scrimmage or second scrimmage. And I went 1 for 3 to start out. And I got my first hit that day. And it was like the best feeling ever. And I was like, I'm here. This
Deuces.
on. Yeah. And it's just, you have to be willing to, you know, like I was living downtown Scranton
Yeah.
in a nice apartment. I had to give that up. I'm living with my dad and my aunt. Like, sucks, but I treat myself. I'm 20 years old in terms of sports right now in college.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
treat myself like that because I didn't get the shot when I was younger. I didn't make the shot. Now I'm here. I'm making decisions like I'm 20
Yeah.
because you don't know. Like Tom Brady played until he's 45 in one of the most ruthless
Right.
sports ever.
Yeah.
If I get into a place where I'm completely focused on just sports, I'm not doing a second job, I'm not
Yeah.
working,
Yeah.
I'm just I think I could play for another 10, 15, 20 years, and
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be if at a major league level or a professional level. It could be semi-professional, and then I do other stuff like say like the book or
Yeah. And
media.
just being
That's all
able just to
intertwined
be out
now.
there.
I just love it so much. I'm happier than I've ever been in my life just to know that like
I
my
had
purpose.
told people before, I don't remember what I was talking about, but I was talking about seeing God in like different aspects, and I was saying how I felt like I was born to like be an athlete and play sports, and I never felt as close to like like
anything.
perfect, you know, or anything as when I was like going up for a layup, you know, like there was
Nothing.
just this,
There's no.
and it was almost like your body is a dance. And it's like, you know, you're playing sports and as you're running down a court and stuff, it's almost like a dance, like, you know, The Last Dance, like Michael
Mhm.
Jordan, you know, and
He's my
everything
favorite
like
athlete
that. And
ever.
it's,
So
yeah. And it was
I
just, it's so beautiful.
he's my greatest inspiration because he just worked. He loved it so much too. Like he just loved the game so much.
He
Like
just
it
loved
wasn't
it.
work.
Yeah.
He just loved
Yeah.
it. It wasn't even work because he just loved it. And that's how you have to feel. Like
Yeah.
I don't feel like
Yeah.
it's work when I go practice. Like
Yeah.
my coach would give me compliments because I'd go right from basketball practice, running, conditioning, and go straight to baseball.
Yep.
And he'd be like, "Thank you for for doing that." Like a lot of other guys, we have guys like missing that aren't even doing, like they're just missing because who knows. And he's just like,
Yeah.
and I was like, dude, you don't have to thank you. Like you gave me the opportunity. Like
Yeah.
this isn't work. Like I could do this all day. Like because it really is like it's just something
And
poetic
I
about
and I love that you took advantage of all the opportunities that you had, because I know for me a lot of veterans when they'll go back to school, they won't take advantage of all the opportunities that school has. And I was talking to a vet today who wanted to go back to school, and I said, you know, go to school. Like you don't have kids. I said,
You're
so
not gonna
you
have
know,
to
fuck
pay as
it.
much,
Like I was
right?
like, you know, I joined clubs. Like I became the president of a club, and actually when you were talking about like it's the little pieces that fall into place, um I got off the Navy. I didn't want anything to do with the Navy at all ever again, or the
Mm-hmm.
military. And somebody talked me into like joining the student veterans on Marywood campus. I started doing their social media, and that's literally one of the reasons I'm even here with this podcast, even doing this today, is because, you know, they're like, hey, I think you could try this, and you know, like, why not? You're on campus anyway. Who cares if you're old? Nobody knows that, you know, like, join
Yeah,
the club,
totally.
you know, do this. And I started doing it, and I was able to meet different people, started doing social media. Now I get paid to do it, and I get paid to like run other people's accounts. And it started when I was like 34, you know, 35 years old, and I'm like going back to school, and it was those little tiny things that like now a couple years later it's definitely it paid off. And I think
And
that's
if you
really great that you took advantage of that.
right, and if you didn't, you would be sad. Think right now, just doing something you hate
Right.
because there's not that many fun things to do as an
There's
adult.
there's not.
There's not like you wanted to grow up so fast. Everyone wanted to grow up, be tall and cool and older. And I honestly like like babysitting. I'm like, damn, like they're just like little punching bags. They could hit each other all day. They could fall all day, and it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
You know, like
We went to
I
the
got.
Eagles Women's Festival on Sunday. I'm dead still. And my daughter was like up and ready for field day. I was like, hey, I can't.
It's insane. I'm hypersomnic, so that was like I could sleep to like 12 to 16
You're
hours
like,
by
yeah,
accident.
yeah. I
Like
can be
by
out.
act, I have an alarm clock that makes me do math problems. Shout out Alarmy. Like I throw my phone across the room so that I have to go
So
up
that you
and
have to
get it.
get up and go
Put
get
it up.
it.
Yeah, because I could just sleep. I'm like, I slept for 3 days straight once.
I don't know
I
how I ever woke up in like boot camp or anything. Cause like I'm like waking the dead when I finally fall asleep. And don't let me get my little CPAP thing on and have the whole thing, please.
I
I'll
need to get
sleep
a
for days.
CPAP. I might do that. LeBron does that. Just he has. I don't even think he has
He does.
sleep apnea.
Yeah, there's been actually the reason I ended up getting it is somebody told me a story about like one of the famous football players who died in their sleep because they had sleep apnea. Freaked me
Oh
out.
wow.
And
Yeah.
so I ended up going and getting a CPAP and stuff. But yeah, it's I heard LeBron does it. It's really good for like your breathing, and it helps you sleep better. Like once you're all the way to sleep. But anyway, so we've been chatting for a really long time. I'm not going to hold you any longer, but I wanted to ask you one thing. Like, really, what message would you want to tell somebody who was maybe in your position that you were in before, kind of depressed, not really doing anything, and like trying to figure out which way to go, or maybe you wanting to take a risk or too scared, like what advice would you give somebody?
So I would say you got to figure out what you love. Nothing works unless you do what you love. And I say do the physical thing now. If you're got,
Right.
if you have aspirations for sports or anything like a physical variety, do it now and you could do the other non-physical stuff concurrently or after. So like music is on the wayside right now. I
Right.
still play, but I don't really care if I can't do music right now. I'm just so
Right.
invested in the sports and be realistic but unrealistic. You
Mm.
know,
You got to be a little delulu, a little bit.
you
Got to
gotta be
be.
a little delulu. Gotta be, and you gotta be able to say, because you're gonna like my best friends were saying, "What are you doing? Why are you going back?" They were being smart. They're like they didn't want me to spend money,
Right. Right.
and I was like, I don't know. I just want to do it. You have to be committed on your own accord.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as you were saying before about like the military and stuff, there actually is a cool story. I didn't meet him, but I messaged with this one guy. He was a Navy pilot or something, or he was in the Navy, and then now he's a D1 athlete as well for
Oh wow.
basketball.
Yeah.
And Ramil Bethia's name is. He's 29. He had like a 6-inch growth spurt in the Navy. He went from 6'3" to like 6'9" or something. Yeah,
Whoa,
you
that's
should try and get
crazy.
him on. You should have him on the show.
I know. I
It
was.
seems
I was
like
gonna say, what's his name again, so I can have him on
I'll
to
I'll
talk
get
to
you.
him.
I'll send you his profile. He seems like a
Okay.
good guy. I think
Cool.
he's got like a kid and stuff. And now he's a
Yeah.
D1 prospect. And I messaged him. I was like, I didn't get the growth spurt yet. Hopefully, maybe I can steal one. But
Yeah.
I I was like, we got to keep going. And he's like, yeah, we got to keep going until our bodies tell us it's done. So you got to
I
just like
love that.
take that into consideration until
Yeah.
they have ectomorphic suits that could keep us alive for and churning forever. You got to
Yeah.
take care. You got to do the physical thing first, and
Right.
be okay with if it doesn't mean like, oh, you're gonna become a superstar. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. But if you'd rather be around sports all day, you got to do it. Even if it's a
Yeah.
coaching
Yeah.
position, assistant coach, you'll be able to be. It's just so fun. Like even the
Hmm.
coaches, we had so much fun. Like my
Yeah.
coach
And
Ron
my
Struthers
mom
for
was my
basketball.
coach for a long time, and it's just good memories and such a good time, and it teaches you so much. And just being around a sport, just having a ball in my hand makes me happy. You know.
100%. I sleep with
Yeah.
a Spalding basketball, literally. And another thing, intuition. So like I remember it was the most important day of my life. I was 20. I don't remember the exact date. I don't remember the exact year. I was around 2019. I was having an existential crisis in my living room because at that age, you think you have no time.
No time. Yeah.
There was no time.
Yeah.
Little do you know, you might look like you're 19 for 10 more years, still getting
Yeah.
carded. And it's
Yeah.
the carding, like everyone gets carded, but it's
I
the
get
bounce.
mad because I never have my wallet. I never have my wallet on me,
I
and so
know.
I always gotta
I always
run
have it
back to
because
my
I know I'm gonna
car,
get carded.
go get my ID. Be like, I just
Oh
started
no,
getting gray hair, guys. I'm old.
you got to pluck one out and be like, "How
Like,
about that for an ID?" But yeah, my thing is the bouncer always looks at me different than my friends. Like he actually looks like that's, but I was like 20 years old and I was having an existential crisis, and I was like, I want to be an athlete, I want to be an artist, I want to be an actor. I call it the AAA. But I
yeah,
was like, how would I like? I want to play. How can I do one, let alone all three? And the same thing came down to I was like, just do it.
yeah,
And that means when the opportunities come, when you have a rugby audition in Philadelphia and you're in Scranton and you wake up and your voice is hoarse, you kind of feel sick, there's flurries outside, by safety precautions,
right,
obviously don't. It was a flurry. I was like, I'm going. I went
yeah,
to the
yeah,
audition. and you can't be obsessed with like, I have to get this one, I have to get this. For me, it worked out. My first acting experience ever was an Amazon Prime movie. That's
Yeah.
not going to happen mostly. You might
Yeah.
have to grind it out. You know,
Right.
if you really like that type of stuff, you got to get into a production company, plays, live that life. You have to live the life, but be
Yeah.
an actor in everything.
Right.
Fake it till you make it. Be an actor as an athlete. Just be there. You
Mm-hmm.
got to. If you're not, and then you realize you do everything, and you realize everything's, even the most like magnificent part of life is still mundane in a way. Like you have to get used to like, it's not going to always be like flashy and,
You know?
yeah,
Yeah. It's
like
not
it's
always
going to
gonna
be
be like that all the
mundane.
time.
Like
Yeah.
I'll throw a ball at a fence for 2 hours. I'll
Yeah.
throw a rubber ball at a wall. If you're not willing to work, it's not going to come. If you're not willing to allow it to come, it's
Yeah.
not going to come. If you're constant, if it's the negative positive. If you're going to be negative,
You have
you'll
to
stay
start.
there.
You have to say yes to stuff too. It's
You have to say
because
yes
I
to like
think
90% of things.
me too. And everything to me, no matter how off the wall it is, somehow I'm gonna connect it in. Like somehow I'm gonna make it, bring it into work because I truly believe that like every opportunity you should take advantage of that. And it's crazy because when I was little, I used to dream about being an EGOT and I wanted to like win an Oscar and an Emmy and a Grammy and be
I
famous.
do too. I do too.
And I'm like, and then next thing I know, like now me and my daughter were on a bunch of billboards across Scranton, and it's like, wow,
Congrats.
that's
There you go.
like that, that's super cool. And it's because I said yes to somebody who's like, oh, can we come take pictures of you and Jacqueline? I did not feel good. I felt very ugly. My hair was not done, but I was like, you know
Mm-hmm.
what? Fuck it. Yes, yes, girl. You want to come take pictures of us? I will get it together,
Just do it.
and we will just do it, and we will go.
Right.
And it,
And you're
you
not
know,
gonna, especially for athletics. One thing I see a lot, and I've been a part of it too, is you think you have to feel good before a practice. You're not gonna feel good most of the time.
most of the
You
time,
might
yeah,
be even nervous. You might, but that's actually some of my best practices. My best practice at Luzerne for basketball that day, I was so like sick and tired. I ended up drinking a coffee, and I don't usually drink coffee after like a certain time. And I was like, whatever. I'm like, I'm just gonna get through this practice. I ended up going like 6 for 9 from three.
yeah.
Just fire. Like you're
Somebody
gonna
had told
feel
me your
sick.
worst day at the gym is still better than somebody who didn't go. And as
There it is.
when you're there, boom, you're already
You gotta
even if you're
just
doing
be
one
there.
thing, yeah, you're there,
100%.
100. You're
You gotta
just
be
there,
there.
yeah,
And then do things to find out if you like them or not. Everyone has this
yes,
like,
yeah,
people just have
yeah,
a dream set
yeah,
mentality. I did, oh, I want to go out and do this. Everything requires work.
yeah,
Everything's
yeah,
like, you better find out if you even. I went and did like that solar job.
yeah,
I thought,
yeah,
oh, solar sales, perfect. I'm going to be doing that for my other friend now, and it's going to be actually the way I wanted it, passive. So you got to figure out the right way things work.
yeah.
I went and
Trial
did
and error, trial and error,
trial and error, figuring
yeah,
out what you like and don't like. If you do the thing just to do it, because if you like it, perfect. If you don't like it, done. Check it off.
yeah,
I'm out of here. I'm going to find what I do like.
yeah,
Because if you don't, it's too long of a life.
right,
If you're not
right.
like, you live, what is it? Like that one saying, live if you'll die, or like live like you'll die
Live like you're
tomorrow.
dying.
Yeah, or but plan like you'll live forever.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
do
Live
that.
like you're
Like
dying, but plan like you're live like you're
you'll
dying,
live
but
forever.
plan like you'll live forever, something like that. Yeah,
Something like that. In that sense, like
yeah.
you probably are gonna live a decent, like, if we live to the average lifespan of a person right now, we still got 40 plus years.
Right. We still have half a life.
We're not even at 40, and we
Right.
still got another 40.
Yeah.
Like, you better like what you're doing, or you're just gonna be one of those miserable people who
And
just.
people don't normally tell you when they've accomplished something. And when I was going back to school to get my degree, I was like, nobody's ever going to ask me when I got my degree. Nobody's going to ask me when. I'm just going to have a degree. And they don't know if I got it when I was 20. They don't know if I got it when I was 30. They don't know. But,
Right.
and nobody's gonna, who cares?
It's like getting laid.
Yeah.
Nobody knows if you got laid or not unless you tell them.
Unless you tell them.
So, give it off the impression that you're getting laid all the time and you might get laid.
Yeah, fake it till you make it, guys.
Fake it till you make it, And
well,
that's,
on that note,
on that note, perfect. Fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it. But thank you so much, everyone, for joining me on this episode of Politics But Make It Fashion. Come interview with me. Thank you so much, Johnnie, for being here.
Thank you.
I'm really excited to finish reading your book. And what's the title?
Paint the Corners, The Green Ridge Dream.
And it is
I gotta
available.
read your book.
Yes, it is available right now on Amazon Kindle, and his paperback will be out very soon, and you guys will be able to purchase that. So thank you so much, guys, and we will chat soon.